Please take your seats. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are in good health and doing absolutely fine. Friends, welcome to this Ethics Foundation course. Now, the approximate length of this course would be somewhere around 2.5 months. Under this course, we will have 50 classes and 5 tests, but more about that in some time. First, we must understand the nature of this subject, and then and only then we can learn this subject. So, first question that you should ask yourself is how GS paper 4 is different from the other GS papers. You know there are 4 GS papers, and GS paper 4 is known as Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. How this paper is different from the other 3 papers. Now look here. When you look at the contents of GS paper 1, 2 or 3, you will find one thing, that everything that these papers are talking about exists in your environment, like the economy, the society, geography, polity, constitution, international relations, internal security, disaster management, everything exists outside you, right? But ethics is all about what exists inside you. So that is how this paper stands out with respect to the other GS papers. The second distinguishing factor that makes Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude a special paper is that all of us, in whatever capacity we are doing our work, we are engaged in one thing, and that is decision making. In fact, coming to the class or not coming to the class itself is the decision. So, as bureaucrats, you know, the most important thing that is sought from you is to take decisions, and decisions which are inclusive in nature and which are taken often under stress situations, right? Like, think of this, you are a senior IPS officer and there is a terrorist attack. Is that not a stress situation? Yes, and you have to take some decisions under that kind of situation. So when you take your decisions, you take different angles, and based on those angles, you make your decisions. Like, say, for example, the legal constitutional angle, the social angle, environmental angle, etc., cultural angle, all those kind of things. Ethics tests how much weight do you attach to the moral angle while you are making decisions. Do you understand that? So the first distinguishing factor is that ethics is all about what exists inside you. Second is that it checks how much you are morally concerned. Like, you can be socially concerned, legally concerned. How much you are morally concerned when you are taking any important decisions. Third important factor that separates ethics from the other subjects is that ethics is actually philosophy. It is popularly known as moral philosophy, but it behaves like a science. Like, say, for example, think about any scientific approach. In any scientific approach, we are focused on observation, we focus on experimentation, we focus on rationality. All these things we take into account while we are taking our decisions. Also, you see that the entire scientific world is mostly bothered with truth or falsity of things, like everything is 1 or 0 in binary arrangement. In ethics, everything that we will do will boil down to one important question. और ये आप ध्यान से सुन लो. This is the question that we are going to answer again and again in the class by adopting different methodologies, different kind of techniques, tools, etc. And what is that question? What is the right thing to do? That's the question. It means ethics makes distinction between right and wrong, good and bad, right? So 3 things you have to keep in mind. First, GS paper 4 is everything about you. Now, you will be surprised to know one thing, that you already know ethics. Do you not take decisions in your daily life depending upon what is right and what is wrong? You do that? Then why have we gathered here? Well, we will discover that in some time, don't worry about it. But the point is that it is everything that exists inside you. Is that thing clear to everyone? Second is that UPSC wants to check how much you are morally concerned while you are taking any decisions. And third is, what is your understanding about right and wrong, good and bad? What do you feel is right? What do you feel is wrong? What do you feel is good? And what you consider as bad? That is what UPSC is concerned about. But before we diverge into the details of this subject, we must ask ourselves one more question. And that question is that why UPSC has introduced GS paper 4 in the scheme of things as far as civil services mains examination is concerned. Now you must be aware, I hope all of you are aware, that ethics is a very later day addition. It was introduced in the year 2013. So look here, that it was the year 2013 when UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission, it decided to introduce GS paper 4. In fact, that is the year when the entire mains examination pattern was revised. One optional was removed, 4 GS paper were added, and the 4th GS paper was ethics, integrity and aptitude. Do you understand that? So why by UPSC at such a later date, and why only in 2013? Why not in 2011 or 2014 or even 2012? See, in 2011 CSAT was introduced, right? And 2014, you know, CSAT was made a qualifying paper. So why only in 2013 and why not in other previous years or years later to that? To understand this, we must draw a background, right? So I want all of you to be at the top of your attention to understand this, that why ethics was introduced by UPSC in civil services main examination and why in 2013 and not in any other year. To understand this, we must consider what was happening in the national scene at that time and what was happening in the international arena, right? Look here. When I talk about what is happening at the national level, you see that from early 2000s, I mean 2001, 2002, 2003 onwards, early 2000 onwards, UPSC, it started receiving a large number of complaints. So there was large number of complaints that were received by UPSC. And these complaints majorly flowed from 3 sources. Now, what are these 3 sources? First is the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, your dream destination, right? From there, a lot of complaints came towards UPSC. Then from central government departments. You know that all ministries have different departments. Like we have Department of Agriculture, Department of Atomic Energy, all those kind of departments, right? So civil servants are serving in those departments at higher levels. So from those departments also, large number of complaints, they were registered with UPSC. And then from the state governments, you know, the All India Services Officers, they work in different state cadres and they work with and under the state governments. So from early 2000 onwards, I'm not saying that these kind of complaints did not exist prior to that, but from early 2000 onwards, the propensity increased manifold, right? So a large number of complaints were registered with UPSC and most of them flew from Labasna, central government departments and state governments. And do you know what these complaints were? If we just summarize all these complaints and we try to put it in one line, then these complaints highlighted that the officers which UPSC is recommending, it means the All India Services Officers as well as the Central Services Officers, all the officers that UPSC is recommending, most of them, if not all, most of them, it means a majority of them, they lack ethics in general and administrative ethics in particular. And because they lack administrative ethics, they are ethically incompetent. So these officers are ethically, or most of them, they are ethically incompetent. And because they are ethically incompetent, that's why they are not suitable to serve the people. They are not suitable to serve the people. You know, the Constitution tries to establish what kind of state? Welfare state, in which what is sought? Socio-economic justice. So delivery of socio-economic justice is a major responsibility of the administrative setup. So those who are manning that setup, if they are ethically incompetent, they will not be able to deliver socio-economic justice. And if they were not able to deliver socio-economic justice, will not be able to establish the welfare state that is promised by the Constitution. Further, not only they are not suitable for serving the people, because of their ethical incompetency, these complaints highlighted that they are prone to corruption. And you know, there were huge volumes of these kind of complaints. It was not a solitary instance or few people complaining, because few people can complain out of some sort of dissatisfaction as well. But most of the central government departments, most of the state governments, and especially the training institute, they complained recursively to the UPSC that what you are recommending, the people you are recommending, they lack administrative ethics, and that's why they are ethically incompetent, not suitable to serve the people, and they are prone to corruption. Well, all of this was going on in the early 2000s, 2001, 2, 3, 4. But then came the landmark year 2005. And why I'm calling it a landmark year? Because that is the year when the Right to Information Act was passed. It opened the gates of transparent government in India. उससे पहले क्या होता था? सरकारें जो भी काम करती थी वो पर्दे के पीछे होता था. So it means everything was in darkness and secrecy. And you know, the evil insect of corruption dwells in the darkness of secrecy. And information is the disinfectant that can kill corruption. So RTI Act, when it was passed, it opened the era or it started the era of transparent government. In fact, it was a movement which started in the United States of America, transparent government, open government movement. It reached to the Indian shores and it ushered in the RTI Act, it ushered in the era of transparent government in India. So before that, you know, there was an act which was Official Secret Act, the OSA. And in the name of Official Secret Act, most of the information was hidden from the public domain. And you know, this Official Secrets Act was naturally, it was a legacy of British administration in India, because they did not want to share information with the Indian people. Got it? So what happened now with the passing of RTI Act? Jo IAS officers, IPS officers, they used to sit in the hallowed chambers. They can now be questioned by just filing an RTI application which costs rupees 10. 10 रुपए खर्च करो और पूछ लो. What is happening to the roads? What is happening to education? What about sanitation? What about irrigation? And to everybody's surprise, it was found out that the answers that were given to most of the RTI applications, they reflected that there is a pervasive presence of red tapeism in the system. Do you understand what is red tapeism? It means things move very sluggishly. How work happens in government offices most of the times, you see? Do they work at a very rapid pace or very sluggishly? Very sluggishly. And you know that in order to push the pace, most of the people who were serving in government systems at different levels, they used to ask for money or other kind of gratification, which they called as grease payments. जैसे कोई मशीन फंस जाती है ना, तो उस पर थोड़ा ग्रीस लगाते हो तो वो चलने लगती है. तो ये जो थोड़ा थोड़ा पैसा लिया जाता था, ये ग्रीस पेमेंट है काम को तेज करने के लिए. In fact, corruption became a norm in the society. And unfortunately, people started accepting it. And people felt that without giving some amount of money, it is not possible to get their work done. There were so many people, enlightened people, who participated in this entire information sharing movement or the right to information movement. They were known as the RTI activists. So suddenly, there was a renewed kind of interest in governance and work of administration all around the country. Because RTI, it gave the people the power, or it empowered the people vis-a-vis the government. Got it? So early 2000s, lot of complaints, and RTI also highlighting more or less towards the same thing, that is prevalence of corruption in the system. 2005 is also critical because then that is the year when the UPA government, it appointed the second Administrative Reforms Commission under Mr. Veerappa Moily. Now, who is this man, Mr. Veerappa Moily? He is the former Chief Minister of Karnataka, who has also served in the Manmohan cabinet at various capacities. Like, so for example, he was once the Minister of Petroleum and Gas, then was given the charge of environment and all. So whatever the case would be. Mr. Veerappa Moily was put in charge, and the second Administrative Reforms Commission was established. The first one was established very early under the chairmanship of Morarji Desai. So this second ARC, it was given a task. And what was this task? Its task was to look into the entire public administration system in India and suggest reforms to make it more participatory, efficient, effective, and ethically sound. Do you understand that? Now, this commission, which was appointed in the year 2005, it worked very hard, and between 2006 to 2009, it presented 15 reports, which are known as the second ARC reports. Now, the fourth report was entitled as Ethics in Governance. So first the complaints, then the RTI Act, and now the second ARC. They are all talking about somewhere around ethics, and they are highlighting the necessity of ethics in administration. So far, so good. Everything clear to everyone? But you see that as these discussions and deliberations were going on in the society and these legislations were passed, an important thing happened. And it was the year 2010 when a 1972 batch IAS officer of the Kerala cadre, I'm talking about Mr. Vinod Rai, who was then serving as the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Mr. Vinod Rai, who was the CAG at that moment, he came up with a report. You know, the main duty of CAG is to scrutinize the expenditure and all account related things of the government. So in 2010, in fact, are you aware that India got the hosting rights of Commonwealth Games? And you know, in Delhi, there is a place called the Khelgaon. It was created in the wake of those games, right? So the Commonwealth Games Committee was put in charge of conducting these games. The Commonwealth Game Committee consisted of a person named Mr. Suresh Kalmadi. When the CAG presented its report, it was found out that, or the CAG claimed at least, that there is an inflated bill that is being shown to the government. And the bill was somewhere in the neighborhood of 70,000 crores, when the actual money spent was half of it. And rest of the money, it was misappropriated by Mr. Suresh Kalmadi and by others at the behest of Mr. Kalmadi. Got it? In fact, the newspaper flashed this news item widely when athletes from different countries, they were forced to live in shabby kind of or shanty kind of apartments when they were given state-of-the-art facility. And the Khelgaon was prepared for that. Inflated bills, misappropriation of funds and all of that. So again, the public got a lot of, or the public developed a lot of discontent against those who were kept in charge of conducting these games, especially Mr. Suresh Kalmadi. As people were talking around this and they could make up their minds related to this scam, the CAG presented one more report, and in that very year, and that is the 2G spectrum allocation report. And this time you see that the CAG report claimed, Mr. Vinod Rai, who was a CAG at that moment, he claimed that the 2G spectrum licenses have been given with a quid pro quo settlement. You understand what is quid pro quo? Means आप कुछ करो मेरे लिए, मैं भी आपके लिए कुछ कर दूंगा. A quid pro quo settlement, and there was a loss to the public exchequer. Now count the figure. ₹1,76,000 crores. That was the loss to the public exchequer. And when people started scrutinizing this more, it was discovered that the people who were involved in the scam included Mr. A. Raja. Now, do you know who was this man at that moment? He was the serving telecom minister. मतलब जो corruption की तार है, वो नीचे से उठकर कहां तक चली गई? Cabinet तक. Do you understand that? Everybody is hand in glove. In fact, along with Mr. A. Raja, there was also K. Kanimozi. Her name also propped up, and it was said that there is a television or channel, I hope you are aware, Kalagnar TV. So this is a channel which belongs to a particular political party, and she was member of that political party. So through A. Raja, she said that those who are getting the benefits of spectrum allocation, because they're purchasing the spectrum at lesser rate, so they push some funds into the Kalagnar TV, which was then made as a propaganda machine for that political party of which Mr. Raja and Kanimozi were members. Got it? And you know that Supreme Court, in fact, it cancelled all the 2G spectrum licenses that were offered up to the year 2010, and Supreme Court ordered to re-auction them, which were re-auctioned in 2014. Now you see, the best way to give government projects tender is by way of auction, because it's an open court and everybody knows that what everybody else is paying. But when decisions are taken behind the doors at the behest of important ministers, then you can understand कि जैसे कहते हैं ना दाल में कुछ काला. So that's what happened. तो यूपीएससी को तो complaints मिल ही रही थी, and then there was RTI, the second ARC, then the CAG reports. Do you understand that? And when the name of Mr. A. Raja propped up, telecom minister, sitting telecom minister, he is indulged in corruption. And look at the figure, an astronomical figure, right? It looks like light years. ऐसा लगता है देखने पे. People said enough is enough. The people of India, now they decided that they will take matters into their own hands. The streets of Delhi were flooded. People came from all around the country in 2011, and a movement started, which is India Against Corruption. A staunch Gandhiite who has done some remarkable work with respect to watershed management in Ralegan Siddhi in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra was at the helm of this movement. I'm talking about Mr. Anna Hazare. Now, did people take political mileage out of this movement and all? Well, I'm not going into that debate because that's a political debate. Let's leave that, right? But definitely, the resentment, the rumblings which the people held for these many years, it found a vent through this movement. People came on the street and they started demanding that why should we pay for those kind of work which the government is due to do? Government should do it. Why should we pay for it? It means they were against grease payments, remember? So they were against grease payments. And the demand of this movement was to set up a Lokpal at the national level and Lokayuktas at state level. They were, in simple words, you can say they were like corruption officers who will listen to cases of corruption, right? So the Lokpal and Lokayukta bill 2011 was tabled in the parliament. But members of the India Against Corruption and the then cabinet members, there was a kind of schism between the two with respect to the details of the draft that were introduced into the parliament. They wanted the Prime Minister also to be under Lokpal, but the cabinet does not want that, right? So anyhow, this is what was going on. The Lokpal or Lokayukta you can consider is similar to an ombudsman in a bank where you put your complaints. And when this was going on in the streets, ऐसे भी तो कुछ लोग होंगे ना, those who are working in different government departments, and they are also morally sound. They do not like the idea of taking money, especially from the vulnerable people, for doing their tasks. Like say, for example, somebody is due to get a cylinder, but the officer is giving that only after taking a commission. Or a pensioner is now to get the matured funds, but that is to be transferred only by taking a cut. So you can understand that there were people in the system also. I'm talking about so many honest officers who were serving in the system at that moment, who felt that they have a moral calling now. They must stand with the people of India. They must raise their voice against this injustice. But by remaining in the system, can they do it? It would be very risky for them, right? They have to face a lot of personal and professional attacks. So what they did is, they released the information anonymously. Anonymously का मतलब समझते हो? Without highlighting their name. And they came to be known as the whistleblowers. Now, who is a whistleblower? A whistleblower is a person who works in a system and he shares information of that system without highlighting his name, and that kind of information which is critical and which is against the interests of the people. Do you understand that? So many people working in different central government departments, state governments, they started releasing large number of information regarding what is going on wrong in the system. अब एक बात बताओ, ऐसे लोग जो ये काम कर रहे हैं, इनको प्रोटेक्शन देना चाहिए? We should encourage these kind of people. So the Whistleblowers Protection Act, or rather the Whistleblowers Protection Bill, it was also tabled in the parliament in 2011. So you can understand in 2011 there are two important bills pending in the parliament. What are they? Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill and the Whistleblowers Protection Bill 2011. Right? before Parliament could pass these bills, again, Mr. Vinod Rai, who was serving as the CAG, came up with one more report in the year 2012. And this time he said that all the coal blocks that were allocated by different governments between the time period of 1993 to 2010 were done in an unfair manner, and there is a chance of quid pro quo in such kind of allocations. This came to be known as the Colgate scam. वो वाला नहीं, the Colgate, right? Named after a similar kind of scam which happened in USA, which is known as Watergate. Well, later about that. So in 2012, before the Parliament could pass these two bills, there is another scam. And you can understand that the anger of the people would be at the peak at this moment, because the Parliament is debating something, and again, there is a scam. And you know that the UPA 2 was marred by scams. This is the same government which passed remarkable legislations like RTI, RTE, right to education, but now first CWG, then 2G, then Colgate. You know what Supreme Court did? Supreme Court again came into the picture, and Supreme Court cancelled 218 coal blocks that were allocated to different players in different part of the country between the time period of 1993 and 2010. Sare coal blocks cancel kar diye Supreme Court, which were to be re-auctioned again in 2014. This order was given to the government. In 2013, with slight modifications, the Lokpal and Lokayukta Act was passed. And in 2014, with slight modifications, the Whistleblowers Protection Act was passed. So now we have three important legislations. One is RTI, then Lokpal and Lokayukta Act, and the third one is Whistleblowers Protection Act, which promotes ethical governance in the country. So this is what was happening at the national level. Are you clear with it? Now let's talk about what was happening at the international level. In the year 2006, some papers surfaced, and there was a web portal. Its name was, I hope you're aware about it, WikiLeaks. जैसे Wikipedia है, ऐसा ही समझ लो, WikiLeaks. Now, this was established by a person called Julian Assange. Now, who is he? He is an Australian computer programmer and activist. And WikiLeaks was based in Iceland, a small country. WikiLeaks में क्या होता था? That whistleblowers and different kind of people, by hiding their identity, they used to submit classified information, and WikiLeaks leaked all this classified information. And what was most talked about in all those classified information which were declassified was what the US Army was doing. Julian Assange, through his WikiLeaks, claimed that the US Army has indulged into a lot of collateral damages. Do you understand what is collateral damage? Like, say, for example, when there is the war, army specifically targeting civilians or the non-combatants. That is collateral damage. And when the US invaded Afghanistan after the 9/11 crisis, then when it invaded Iraq due to Saddam Hussein and alleged nuclear weapons, and then during the civil war, what was going on in Syria to remove Bashar al-Assad. In all these cases, you see that the WikiLeaks papers, they highlighted that there was a lot of collateral damage which the US Army indulged into. Assange was hunted, obviously, by the CIA after that. And वो फिर एक country से दूसरे country, कभी बीमारी का बहाना, और he was taking refuge and asylum in all these countries to save his life. This is in which year? 2006. In 2013, there was another ground-shaking development, a seismic development. And this time, another man named Edward Joseph Snowden was involved. Now, who is this man? He is a computer intelligence consultant who worked for the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency. It's like USA's RAW. You understand that? So he was working for the CIA and he acted as a whistleblower, Edward Snowden. And his whistleblowing is known as Snowden Revelations of 2013. So Snowden, what he revealed was that the NSA, the National Security Agency, which is the body in the United States of America, it has partnered with several US telecom giants, and it is conducting a surveillance program clandestinely on important people all around the world. And what Snowden claimed was that this clandestine surveillance program was conducted on people of very highest repute also. Like, say, for example, some examples are David Cameron. Do you know this man? He is a former Prime Minister of United Kingdom. Dilma Rousseff. She was the former President of Brazil. And Angela Merkel. She is the former Chancellor of Germany. तो इन सब के ऊपर clandestinely कुछ टेलीकॉम कंपनीज की मदद से NSA, the National Security Agency, is conducting a global surveillance program. Do you understand that? Means checking कि किससे बात करते हैं, क्या मैसेज करते हैं. And you know, these are the people who are sitting at the top offices. So their phone calls, their private data, if you can get access to that, you would know which way the country's foreign policy is going. Do you understand that? What is the difference between CIA and NSA, by the way? See, both are indulged into intelligence gathering. But CIA is more about humans collecting intelligence, like working through agents. Do you understand that? NSA is more about breaking down the different kinds of intelligence that is gathered by using computer applications. Do you get it? So it is more technology driven. This is human driven. Got it? So this is what was happening. Obviously, like Assange, Snowden was also hunted. He also moved from one country to another country seeking asylum for his life. Do you get it? So all these things were happening. So I'm repeating one more time. At the national level, we have first the complaints that UPSC received from Labasna, from central government departments, and from state governments. Then there was the RTI Act. Then the second ARC, the fourth report, which talked about ethics in governance. Then the CAG reports, first about CWG, then about 2G, and then Supreme Court cancelling the 2G licenses. Then India Against Corruption, the Coal Block Scam, and finally the Lokpal and Lokayukta Act 2013 and Whistleblowers Protection Act 2014. At the international level, we have first the WikiLeaks and then the Snowden revelations. So now you understand what was happening in the first decade of 21st century. That's why UPSC thought that it is high time to incorporate ethics as a part of the overall evaluation. Do you understand that? And that's why in the year 2013, remember Snowden revelations happening 2013? In the year 2013, the civil services syllabus for the main written examination was revised. The pattern was also revised, and a separate paper was introduced, which was GS paper 4, which was named as Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude. ये बात clear हो गई? How ethics was introduced as a part of our syllabus. But let us ask a question to ourselves one more time. Does the knowledge of ethics make us ethical? If we have the knowledge of ethics, is that a guarantee that we are ethical? Let's try to understand that with the help of an example, shall we? Okay, so look here. Think of this. Let me take a very classic case. This case is the old lady case. Now, what is this case? Try to understand very carefully. There is a very busy road, and there is an old woman who is trying to cross the road. The road is very busy. There's a lot of traffic, high moving cars on that road, right? There is a zebra crossing, and obviously there is a signal light. This lady is trying to cross the road. The road is very busy. Now, you have 4 options. First option is, look here very carefully at the option. First option is, you will walk past by the lady without helping her. You'll just look at the lady and you'll just walk past. मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? That's first option. Second option is that you will jump on the road. You will disrupt the traffic with your hand. रुक जाओ, ऐसे कर, जो भी करोगे. Then you'll come back and you'll assist the lady in crossing the road. It means you'll help the lady, help the old woman, but by disrupting the traffic. That's your second option. Third option is you will ensure that you push the lady right in the middle of the road so that she gets hit by a vehicle. That's your third option. It means pushing the old lady at the center of the road, busy road obviously. And the fourth option is that you will first wait, you'll talk to the woman and ask her that actually she's looking for crossing the road or she is just an onlooker. So you'll first inquire that, then you will check for the appropriate traffic signal, the lights, then you will use the zebra crossing, you will assist the lady in crossing the road by following all the traffic rules. It means helping the lady by following all the rules, obviously the traffic rules. Suppose you understood this case, very simple and classic case. Now suppose this appears in your exam sheet and I am assuming that everybody is a serious candidate. मतलब कोई मजे लेने नहीं आया मेंस में, ठीक है? तो मुझे बताओ, most of the people will pick which option? D. In fact, 100% of the people will pick that option. Now ask yourself one question. How many times have you really assisted old people crossing the road? You might have done it sometimes, but have you done it all the time? Every time you saw an old woman, did you do that? Hence proved, the knowledge of ethics doesn't make a person ethical. There is no guarantee that the knowledge of ethics will make you ethical. Why people behave unethically? What is the reason why people behave unethically? Well, there are many reasons. First is, some of the people are habitually inclined to behave in an unethical fashion. Means they have developed some habits in such a way that when they normally behave, because of the bad habits that they have inculcated in their nature, they always behave in an unethical fashion. Like say for example, you might have seen people who make fun of others because of say their dressing sense or something like that, or body shame people. You might have seen that. And they feel this is very normal. But just think about that person who is being body shamed. Is that not an attack on that person's dignity? Yes or no? Is that ethical or unethical? Unethical. Do you understand that? That's why some people are habitually inclined to behave in an unethical fashion. Here is where we can put all those people who generally pass sexist, racist, all those kind of comments. So you can put all those kind of people in that category. Second is that some people, they are driven by selfish tendencies. They behave in an unethical manner because they fall prey to their greed or to their pleasure. It means that they are either driven by greed or they are driven by pleasure. So the pleasure element or the greed quotient determines their thinking. Their thinking is hijacked by their greed. वो अपने लालच के आगे बेबस है. Like say for example, an honest man working in a particular government office is trying to meet all the ends, but suddenly he sees that his neighbors are getting all the different kinds of gadgets, cars, good house and everything. And he is then being pressurized by his family members, you should also do it. And he finds that yes, I can mismanage some funds and I can do that. So if he is ethical, he'll not do that. If he is unethical, if he is a slave of his greed, are you understanding that? Then he will fall into that trap. So some people, they behave unethically because they are slaves of their greed or they're driven by the selfish tendencies. Got it? Third reason why people behave unethically is because people are ignorant, or ignorance is the reason why people behave unethically. Think of this. Like say for example, suppose somebody comes to India and consumes alcohol in a state where it is prohibited. Like say for example, in Bihar or in Gujarat, or somebody from Indian population itself, some resident of Bihar or some resident of Gujarat tries to consume alcohol and is not aware about the prohibition law, then his action is unethical as far as the standards of that society. Do you understand that? But he did not wanted to do it, but he did it because he was ignorant. Like say for example, in this old lady crossing the road, suppose a person, a boy comes nearby the old lady and tries to help the old lady to cross the road, but he does not understand traffic signals. So when it would be a green light, then only he can help the lady to cross the road. But suppose it's the red light and he is assisting the lady to cross the road. So his intention is very pure. But because of his ignorance, his behavior is unethical. Do you understand that? Because through his behavior, he is causing annoyance in others by disrupting the traffic. So people behave in an unethical fashion because they are habitually inclined, selfish, or they suffer from ignorance. अब देखो, system में ऐसा होता था that whenever some officer used to get caught, or anybody working in the system used to get caught in corruption cases or something like that, they would go to the courts, Central Administrative Tribunal, and they would plead ignorance. They would say that I was not aware that there is some law like Lokpal and Lokayukta. Do you understand that? I'm not aware that there is something like right to information. So by introducing GS paper 4, what UPSC has ensured is UPSC has eliminated ignorance as a line of defense when you are get trapped. Do you understand that? Because of your unethical behavior. Do you get it? So that is the purpose of introducing GS paper 4. Now you cannot say that I do not understand what is deontology. I do not understand what is consequentialism. I do not understand the different kind of meta-ethical perspectives. By introducing this paper, UPSC has ensured that nobody can claim that he or she was ignorant. So UPSC is trying to break ignorance as a line of defense when you are caught in corruption charges. Got it? Why UPSC is so much obsessed with ethics? We must understand this thing as well, that why UPSC wants people to learn ethics so much, and why ethics is such a critical paper in the GS mains examination. You see, I'm giving you two options. One option is a moderately intelligent person with very good ethics. Second, a very intelligent person with no ethics. Whom would you prefer? The first one. Why? Because an intelligent man with no ethics will use his intelligence to exploit the system. Do you understand that? For personal gains over public gain. A very intelligent man with no ethics will be like a clever devil. Shaitan ki tarah hoga. Do you understand that? Who would try to exploit the system for his or her gain, any person. Do you get that? That's why UPSC wants that instead of a very intelligent man with less ethics, a moderately intelligent man with more ethics becomes an IAS officer. Because he would then be serving the society with full zeal and enthusiasm. He would not be prone to corruption, and he would be helping in delivery of social justice and economic justice, which is nothing but distributive justice. Got it? तो ये बात क्लियर हो गई? तो अब हम ये समझने की कोशिश करेंगे that what kind of approach we should have to understand ethics. Look here. There are three approaches that we should develop to understand ethics. The first approach is the continuum approach. The second approach is the situational approach. And the third approach is the philosophical approach. Now look here. What is this continuum approach? Think of this, that murder is wrong. All of you agree? All of you agree to that? Now, how many of you can claim with all the courage and all the conviction that you have at your disposal that come what may, you will not murder a person? How many of you can claim this? कि चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, I will not kill another person. How many of you can do that? Raise your hands. Be confident about yourself. It means nobody can claim that. There could be some situations where you can murder people. Are you trying to say that? So am I today in the company of potential murderers? Okay. How many of you can say that you are not going to lie under any situation? Nobody. So it means I'm not only in the company of potential murderers, but also liars. It means what? देखो मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया, आपको ethics आती है already. It means what? It means that there is nothing like absolute good and absolute bad. Things are good or bad related to a situation. Do you understand that? Like say for example, if a civilian kills another civilian, that would be considered as taking law into his or her own hands. But if a soldier kills a soldier of another country, then that would not be considered as murder. That would be considered as defense of the nation. Do you get it? So there is nothing like absolute good or absolute bad. So if I put here, suppose this is good and this is bad, then what about these actions which are at the center? Can I say they are equally good or bad? Or rather you can say equally good and bad. They're equally good and bad. If the action lies here, then can I say it is more good than bad? Can I say so? And if the action is here, can I say it is more bad than good? Like lying is something which is considered as wrong in all the societies, but lying to save somebody's life would be wrong, but less wrong. Do you understand that? Speaking the truth is right, but speaking the truth to distort the dignity of a person would be considered as less good. Do you understand that? So this is the continuum approach, and this is the scale of morality. देखो अभी हमने कुछ पढ़ना शुरू नहीं किया है. I'm just trying to draw the background of the subject. And today's class is most important, by the way, because if you understand today's class, all the other classes are cakewalk. Let me tell you. So this approach is known as the continuum approach. It means there is nothing like black and white. Everything is gray, right? So in some cases, there would be some actions which would be equally good, equally bad, more good than bad, more bad than good, or completely good or completely bad. Depends upon what? Situation, the circumstances, the motives, the ends, the person who is performing the action. All these things has to be considered. Do you get it? That's the first approach that you should have in your head. Do you understand that? ये मत सोचना कि अरे ये तो सही होता था, गलत कैसे हो गया आज? So it depends upon that. You have to have this kind of a mindset. It means आपके जो दिमाग का कांटा है वो ऐसे घूमना चाहिए. Do you understand that? Second is situational approach. Now, in this subject, you will encounter several situations where you have to pick something and drop something else. Both of them would be equally ethical for you. Like say for example, think of this. Suppose you are the collector and you are posted in a rural backward district. And one day what happens is an old man comes to you, wants to become beneficiary under a government scheme. But he does not have any paper, supporting paper. It means he lacks documents. Do you understand that? Now you have two options. First is to include him under the scheme as a beneficiary without the documents. If you do that, you will be violating what? Rule of law. You would be violating rule of law. And the other option is to not give him the benefits of the scheme. It means there you would be sacrificing what? Compassion. Compassion towards the weak and vulnerable sections. अब अगर ऐसे लोगों को मदद नहीं मिली स्कीम की तो स्कीम बनाने के क्या मतलब? Do you get it? So in this case, you see, there is a direct conflict between rule of law versus compassion. Now, at the event of decision making, you tell me, can you uphold both of them? No, you have to pick one and drop another. अब देखो कुछ लोग होंगे, they will pick compassion over rule of law. Some people will pick rule of law over compassion. Rule of law, by the way, is a part of Code of Conduct of Civil Services, 1964. तो आप Code of Conduct को violate करने की बात कर रहे हो? समझ में आ रहा है? So it means that in ethics, there will be such kind of situation which we generally call as ethical paradox or ethical dilemma. It means you are confronted with two kind of imperatives. Both are equally important for you. And it becomes very difficult for you to pick one and drop another. And even if you do that, you take a decision, you remain dissatisfied because you have dropped something which was very important. Like think of this. Suppose there is a soldier who is taking care of his ailing mother and war has begun. So he is now to go back to his company. If he goes to fight at the war space, then his mother is going to die because there is no one around to take care of his mother. If he starts taking care of his mother and does not answer his call of duty, then he would be destroying the spirit which was meticulously inculcated in him, regimented in him through the army. Do you understand that? It means it is mother versus motherland. Do you get it? And you can pick one. Most of the soldiers, they will go to fight in such situations, but will they be very happy? No. So that is one situation. ये आज से ही समझ लो, ऐसे ही आने वाले हैं आपके decisions, और ऐसे ही होते हैं decisions ethics में. Got it? Where you will not be fully 100% satisfied with your decisions in some cases, because it is situation. So first is continuum. Is this thing clear to everyone? Second is situation. Now the third thing is philosophical approach. That is very important. Now let me tell you, friends, why most of the people, they do not score very high in GS paper 4. Because everything they write in the paper is their understanding of right and wrong. Your understanding of right and wrong is your morality. That is not ethics. Do you understand that? Ethics is society's understanding of right and wrong. That is ethics. And society is built with the help of different philosophical interpolations and philosophical thoughts given by different philosophical thinkers, leaders, etc. So if suppose दो candidate हैं, एक ये लिख रहे हैं that under this situation I will follow compassion over rule of law because I think that is the right thing to do, because I told you ethics is all talking about what is the right thing to do. एक ने ये लिखा है और दूसरे ने ये लिखा है that I will prefer compassion over rule of law because Buddha said this, because John Rawls said this, because Thomas Hobbes said this, because Socrates, Plato, Aristotle said this. Now you tell me, whose argument will carry more weight? The second candidate? Philosophical backing is important in this paper. It adds weight to your argument. अब अगर कोई ये बोल दे, लिख दे कि स्वामी विवेकानंद did this, hence I am also doing it. तो अब बताओ जो evaluate कर रहे हैं पेपर, वो देख रहे हैं स्वामी विवेकानंद को ये लेके आ गया. And then it is written that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in this situation preferred compassion over rule of law. तो क्या करोगे आप? प्रेसिडेंट को चैलेंज करोगे? नहीं कर सकते आप. Do you understand that? So under such circumstances, वो चाहकर भी आपके नंबर नहीं काट सकते. So that's why we will spend a good lot of time for understanding the fifth unit, which is contribution of moral thinkers, philosophers from world and Indian. Right? Most of the times, this unit, वो जब जो स्टूडेंट्स एस्पिरेंट्स हैं वो जब प्रिपेयर करते हैं तो फिफ्थ यूनिट वो देख के भी नहीं देखते, वो सोचते हैं ये है ही नहीं. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट दे स्कोर लेस इन एथिक्स. बट mark my words today, students, attend all the lectures and you will find that the fifth unit is the most interesting unit and it's the easiest of all the units, and it will add new colors to your answer writing. इसे कहते हैं चार चांद लगा दें. वैसा होगा, आप चाहे ऐसे लिखो, चाहे GS पेपर 4 लिखो, या चाहे आप इंटरव्यू में चले जाओ. If you have good philosophy, then you can back your arguments. Philosophy is the underlying thought, right? Now, philosophy could be political, it could be economic, it could be cultural, and one philosophy is moral philosophy. In fact, ethics का दूसरा नाम ही क्या है पता है आपको? Moral philosophy. Ethics is also known as moral philosophy. So how can you divorce philosophy from ethics then? Can you? No, you cannot. It would be a dangerous pursuit to do that. That's why we would always try to back our arguments philosophically also. Do you get it? So this is the approach that we are going to adopt in the class. Continuum approach, it means there is nothing which is absolutely right or absolutely wrong. Second, situational approach means everything depends upon situation. And third, philosophical approach, we will try to back our arguments by taking cue from the writings, thoughts and philosophies of different philosophers from world and India. And that is what will create the difference between 80 and 150 in GS paper. Those who will not include philosophers in their answers, in their case studies, they are not going to score above 100 in any case, come what may, चाहे जितना भी अच्छा पेपर लिख के आ जाए. Because in GS paper 4 they will end up writing GS paper 2. कि जहाँ पे आपको लोकपाल लोकायुक्ता एक्ट आ गया, विसल ब्लोअर्स एक्ट आ गया, आप तो GS paper 2 जैसा आंसर लिख कर आ जाओगे. That's why you have to be very confident with the philosophies. Do you understand that? So this is the approach. अब mindset कैसा होना चाहिए? What kind of mindset you should have to understand ethics? See, First, you should have a curious mind. What is a curious mind? A curious mind is one which is eager to learn. Do you understand that? If you come to the class with the feeling that I know everything, then it would be a disaster for you to attend this class. Because first thing is you should have a curious mind. Curious mind means you should be eager to learn. Do you understand that? आपको पता होना चाहिए कि what is virtue ethics, what is consequentialism, what is contractarianism, what is essentialism, all those kind of things. You should be open to these kind of ideas. So a curious mind is one which is eager to learn. That's the first kind of mindset that you should develop. Second is you should have a rational mind. Now, what do we mean by rationality? Rationality means when you take your decisions on the basis of reason. It means logic and not on the basis of emotions. Do you understand that? So in ethics, you cannot be emotional all the time. You have to be rational also. So rational mind means decisions based on logic and facts and not based on emotions or impulses. Do you understand that? Third is you should have a liberal mind. Now, do not get confused between this liberal and the liberal which often flashes in media. That's something different. Liberal means that a person who is ready to entertain all kind of philosophies. A person who is ready to entertain all kinds of perspectives. A person who is tolerant to all kinds of perspectives. That is a liberal mind. Do you understand that? Now, if you feel that no, what Immanuel Kant said वैसा ही होता है, then John Stuart Mill and Jeremy Bentham will never be able to convince you. But you know, you need a situational mind. Sometimes you would require Kant, sometimes you would require Bentham. So you have to have what kind of mindset? Liberal mind. Now, if you look at the word liberal, the word here is liberty actually, which is the core word. And liberty is what? Freedom. Freedom to entertain all kinds of thought processes. Do not get confused between liberal and left liberal and all those kind of things which are often flashing in the media. They are different things, right? Then you should have a neutral mind. Now, what is a neutral mind? A neutral mind is one where you do not suffer from any kind of prejudice, any kind of stereotypical thought, any kind of biasness. Do you understand that? Like suppose, most of you must be supporting a certain kind of political parties, and this is democracy, everybody can have their party of choice. But if you come with that kind of mindset only, you will not be able to write answers in a diplomatic fashion. Because you know that at the end of the day, all the bureaucrats should be apolitical. पता लग जाना चाहिए क्या आपका पेपर पढ़ के अच्छा ये इस पार्टी का है, ऐसा होना चाहिए क्या? नहीं पता लगना चाहिए. And for that, what is necessary? That you should have a neutral mind. And most of the newspapers that you read are not neutral. Why? Because journalists write them, and journalists, they suffer from some or the other kind of ideological inclination. Bureaucrats, if they write a piece of writing, you will find it is very balanced. You will not be able to determine which way the bureaucrat is going. Is he a rightist or a leftist or a centrist or somewhere a liberal, conservative? आप नहीं बता पाओगे. Do you understand that? That is the reason that you should have what kind of mind? Neutral. And the last kind of mindset that you should develop is, इसके बारे में मैंने पहले ही आपको बता दिया है, situational mind. It means in certain situations you have to adopt certain things. In certain other situations you have to adopt something which could be diametrically opposite also. Do you get it? So what are the three approaches? Continuum approach, the situational approach, and the philosophical approach. And what are the five kind of mindsets? Curious mind, it means open to learn. Rational mind means based on logic and reason. Liberal mind means tolerant and ready to entertain all kinds of perspectives. Neutral mind means not suffering from any kind of biasness, and situational mind is obviously where you have to take decisions on the basis of situation. यहां तक बात क्लियर है? देखो अभी तक कुछ शुरू नहीं किया है, बस यही बात कर रहे हैं कि what this subject is all about. Are you getting a feel of the subject? Yes. Now let's ask ourselves one more question, and this question is, what is the name of this subject, by the way? What is the name? Ethics, integrity and aptitude. That's the name of the subject. Now, is it right to call the subject as ethics, integrity and aptitude? चलो इसी को question कर लेते हैं. Now you see that the subject is sometimes called as GS paper 4, sometimes aspirants refer to as ethics, integrity, aptitude, or more popularly as ethics. Most of the times they say only ethics. ऐसे बोलते हैं ना. इसको समझने के लिए ऐसे सोच के देखो. Suppose I have 3 baskets. Now in this basket, I have flowers and all of them are roses. So this is the basket of roses. Can I say so? Now suppose here also I have a second kind of flower. Let me take jasmine. So can I say this is the basket of jasmine? And suppose one more kind of flower. Let me take it as lily. So can I say that this is the basket of lily? Are you clear with this? Right? अब ध्यान से देखना. Suppose I have a 4th basket. And in this basket, suppose 50% is roses. How much? 50%. 30% is jasmine. And 10% is lily. So how much is remaining? 10%. Now in this 10%, suppose I have several other flowers, like say marigold, tulip, lotus, and lots many. Do you understand that? Now if I call this 4th basket as a basket of roses, will it be fine? Will it be fine? If I call it basket of jasmine, will it be fine? Can I call it a basket of lily? No. But can I call it a basket majorly of roses, jasmine and lily? Can I say so? Or a basket dominated by roses? Can I say so? Because 50% of it is roses. So similarly, if you look at your syllabus, there is ethics, there's attitude, aptitude, foundational values, ethics in public administration, contribution of moral thinkers, philosophers, probity in governance, case study, etc. But if I have to take 3 most important things out of that, जिसके बिना ये subject को हम define नहीं कर सकते, that would be ethics, integrity and aptitude. So it's like roses, jasmine and lily. But there are other things as well, like attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence, all other kinds of things. Do you get it? And what is most important in this basket? Roses. That's why some of the people call it ethics. क्योंकि ethics में ही सब कुछ आ जाता है फिर. Got it? Is this thing clear? So better, what I would suggest is, better is in formal occasions, you should not call it ethics, integrity and aptitude. You should call it GS paper 4. That's why UPSC never calls it ethics, integrity and aptitude. कहीं लिखा हुआ है? It always calls it GS paper 4. देखो समझो अपने सब्जेक्ट को. Got it? Now let us look at the subject matter, the syllabus that we are going to cover in the class. So put down your pen and look here very carefully. The first unit is actually ethics and human interface. It has something called human actions, human values, lessons learned from the life of different thinkers, philosophers, leaders, etc. And then have you seen something called role of family, society, educational institution in inculcation of values? That's your first unit. The second unit is attitude. The third unit is aptitude and foundational values in civil services. The fourth unit is emotional intelligence. The syllabus should be at your fingertips, right? The fifth unit is, and I'm making a star in front of it because I feel this is the most important unit, which is contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from world and India. The sixth unit is ethics in public administration, and it also has something called public service values. These are different. Public service values are different from foundational values in civil services. Got it? Then you have the seventh unit, which is probity in governance. Now, if you see, ethics in public administration is the mother unit from where this probity in governance have been derived. This specifically talks about one important aspect of governance, which is corruption. Do you understand that? But ethics in public administration is more broader, sometimes summarized as administrative ethics. And then there is an eighth unit also, and that is case studies based on the above topics. That's your syllabus, right? So when this subject was introduced in the year 2013, there was a debate, and debate was that the subject matter of GS paper 4, it has been drawn from which subject? It means there were so many subjects in UPSC, so it has been drawn from which subject? Some people claimed that it comes from philosophy. मतलब जो philosophy optional वाले थे वो बहुत खुश हो गए कि उनको लगा कि देखो, इनफैक्ट ethics का दूसरा नाम ही क्या है? Moral philosophy, and they highlighted units like contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from world and India. Hence, it is a subset, a derivative of the philosophy optional. But then, you know कि socio वाले कैसे पीछे रहते? So the sociology guys, they claimed that in fact, look at this role of family, society, educational institution in the inculcation of values, and ethics is after all required for society. So in fact, this is a derivation from sociology. But then public administration, those students said that give us a break, because look at these units. Ethics in public administration, naam likha hua hai. Ethics in public administration, probity in governance, foundational values in civil services, public service values. So it means definitely it is something which has been taken from public administration. But then came the psychology guys. They said that look at topics like attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence. So they are flowing from where? From your mind, right? And which subject studies mind, human mind? Psychology. Do you understand that? So in fact, this is a derivative of psychology. But that is UPSC for you, my friends. In fact, the subject matter is drawn from all these subjects. It's a combination of 4 subjects: philosophy, sociology, public administration, and psychology. Do you understand that? And if these subjects happen to be your optionals, थोड़ा मदद आपको मिल जाएगा उससे. But अगर नहीं भी है तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, right? Because you will come with a plain slate and you will be learning it more. अब जिनका political science or geography or history है वो घबराओ मत, right? It would be easy for us to learn everything. Now let us try to see this, that how these subjects from which part of the syllabus is drawn from which subject. If you look at this, attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence, and human values, these 4 things are drawn from a part of psychology or a type of psychology which is known as social psychology. So from social psychology, you have these 4 areas. From philosophy, you have this contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from world and India. This is directly flowing from philosophy. From public administration, you have the 6th and the 7th unit, ethics in public administration, public service values, probity in governance, and the second part of the 3rd unit, which is foundational values in civil services. All of this is taken from public administration. And from sociology, you will find that lessons learned from the life of great leaders, administrators, etc., plus role of family, society, educational institutions in inculcation of values. All of this is taken from sociology. Do you understand that? And the rest of the first unit, if you see, it's a combination of all philosophy, sociology, psychology, as well as public administration. Do you get it? Now, when we look at the case studies, you see, if you analyze the last previous year's question papers, you will find that the case studies mostly they flow from 3 parts of your syllabus. यहाँ से ही case study आता है mostly. First is the 6th unit. Nearly 40% of the case studies come from this unit only. Like most of the times you have seen, you are an administrator, you are a superintendent of police or something like that, right? So ethics in public administration and probity in governance combinedly, they make nearly 80 to 85% of all the case studies that are asked in the examination. And the rest 15%, most of the times they flow from here. Foundational values in civil services. Some of the case studies check your integrity, compassion, transparency, all those kind of things, right? Accountability. So foundational values for civil services, ethics in public administration and probity in governance. Combinedly, they cover most of the case studies. अब आपको लगेगा कि फिर ऐसा क्यों लिखा है? Case studies based on above topics? Because if you are talking about administrative ethics, then you will naturally talk about attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence. So all the other topics are inherently linked to these topics. That's why the syllabus says case studies based on above topics. Do you understand that? Now, if you look at the pattern of the examination, you see that recently UPSC has made a slight variation in the pattern. Initially, they used to ask 14 questions, and I felt 14 was too much. Now they have reduced the number of questions to 12, out of which you will find 6 are case studies and 6 are theoretical questions. So the first 6 questions, if you see, 5 of them have 2 parts, A and B. And any one, which is generally the 3rd question or the 6th question, has 3 parts and 3 in the form of quotation. So this question cannot be handled unless you are good with this unit, contribution of moral thinkers and philosophers from world and India. That's why you see that the 3rd question or the 6th question, where you have quotations, 3 quotations, they become very important. Combinedly, they make 13 questions, 6 questions, 5 of them have 2 parts, the 6th one has 3 parts, so 13 questions and then 6 case studies. So a total of 19 questions. देखो समझना पड़ेगा. One is preparation of the subject, second is preparation for the exam day. You have to do both of them. And for that, you have to develop a smart strategy from day 1 itself. So 19 questions is what you have to handle in 3 hours. In other GS papers, it is 20 questions. ऐसा लगता है कि वो ज़्यादा है, जबकि ये ज़्यादा है. Because the case study question reading will consume a lot of time. Here is where, if you have good command over moral thinkers, philosophies, etc., you can easily pick up the significant portions of the case studies and you can write a better answer when compared to your competitors. Do you get it? So this is what is your syllabus and this is how the exam pattern is. Now, the only thing certain about UPSC is its uncertainty. So we do not know what UPSC is going to do in the upcoming years, but there is a very less likelihood UPSC is going to tinker with this pattern of 12 questions. Actually, it is written 12 questions, but in reality, it is 19 questions, 13 theoretical and 6 case studies. So you should prepare the answer writing part by keeping this thing in mind. Got it? Got it? So before I start the subject, let me tell you what is the modus operandi that we are going to adopt in this class. It means our method of learning. See, first I'll start with an assumption, and the assumption is you know nothing. Do you understand that? Now, I'm not saying that that's a fact. I'm saying that's an assumption. The reason for holding this assumption is that if I start assuming you know many things, I'll skip the ABC of the concepts. I'm not going to do that. If you know these things, obviously it would be a revision for you. But if you are not aware of it, you will develop a good understanding of it, right? So we will take one topic at a time, and I will start with the very ABC of that topic. Then I will add the different complex angles, concepts around that topic. We will build the topic from ground up. You should pay all the attention to understanding and not to writing. Let me tell you, my friends, a clerk is interested in writing. An officer is always interested in understanding. So develop the attitude of an officer and not clerks. Once we are done with understanding the topic, the concepts are clear, all your questions around it are addressed, then I will give you a dictation of that topic, right? So you can make your notes, and whatever I say while explaining, more or less, I will say, मतलब 1-2% का इधर उधर हो सकता है words का, but more or less I will give you the same kind of notes. So it will not be a problem for you to revise through the notes. While you are making your notes, this is what you should do. From tomorrow onwards, you should get a register. A plain paper register would be ideal, and you should have 2 margins. The right margin should be slightly broader than the left margin, so that as we add more complexity to the topics in future classes or from current affairs, you can learn new concepts, and those things you have to write in the margins so that all your material is at one point. It will help you in revising quickly. And ideally, you should carry, and this is a special appeal to the boys, carry at least 2 pens of different colors, right? Because then you would be able to highlight the core ideas in that concept. Black and blue would be fine because that will also put you in a good practice. Because in the real examination, can you use red? Can you use green? Or जो भी glitter विटर करते हो नहीं कर सकते ना? So keep yourselves limited to black and red ink. That is what you need to do. So look here, I will discuss the concepts at length, then I'll give you all the dictation. You can ask your questions, feel free to ask the question, but I would expect that the questions are related and relevant. You cannot ask in the middle of, suppose I am explaining attitude, in the middle of that you cannot say that, sir, how to prepare for UPSC exam, because that kind of a question cannot be addressed in a solitary line, and if I try to do that, it would be grave injustice to the questioner. So that's why keep your questions related, right? In fact, this is what we will do is at the fag end of the class, last 30 minutes, and those who are attending the class online also, the last 30-20 minutes I will reserve for the questions. So in between, if you get any questions, you can write down somewhere in your notepad, and then I will give you the opportunity to ask the questions. But उसके बाद भी अगर कुछ रह जाता है, you keep writing down in a notepad or some digital device, and then at the end we will address those questions. But again, try to keep the questions relevant to that class. That will help everybody. Otherwise, maybe others might feel that the time of the class is being wasted by asking irrelevant questions. Once we are done with the concepts, everything in the class and the questions, the class will be over. And at the end of the class, you will get something like this, which is the daily practice paper. Now you see, side by side, we should also develop our answer writing skills. Answer writing is not something which is developed overnight. किसी का नहीं हुआ ना किसी का होगा. Got it? In fact, of all the students of mine who are now selected, one common thing, if I can draw in all of them, is they all practiced answer writing very regularly. There could be 1 or 2 exceptions, but most of them have practiced answer writing very regularly. सबसे पहले तो पेन उठाओ और लिखना शुरू करो. जो लिखो वो तो छोड़ो, पहले लिखना तो शुरू करो. Because on the examination day, that is not going to happen. The question that will be asked will stem from the discussions that we will have in that class. Do you understand that? So try to make this. This is for your self-evaluation. No need of submitting it anywhere. इससे होगा क्या? देखो 2 फायदे. First, you will be in the mold of answer writing. Secondly, at the end of the course, all the topics will be summarized through question and answers. So that will help you in quick revision as well, right? Now, this is the sheet, the course sheet. I hope all of you have got this. So in this, there are 50 classes. In these 50 classes, actually, 40 of them are dedicated to the theoretical portion. It means we will be covering the first 7 units in the 40 classes, first 40 classes. The 41st lecture is on the art of case study answer writing. And the last 9 classes are actually not lectures, they are workshops. आप समझते हो workshop का मतलब? Where we will together try to solve the case studies in the class. And we will solve 100 case studies in the class. At periodic intervals, there would be sectional tests as well. 3 sectional tests and 2 mock tests at the end. If you can attend the classes regularly, which I think you should, and if you do what is required, if you just read your class notes, do the writing, attend for the tests, you will get good marks. I'm not saying this based on any kind of contextual conjecture, but I'm talking about this based on my decade-long experience of training aspirants. Most of the people who do this regularly, they end up with good marks. 125 plus, आपने देखा होगा कई जगहों पे लिखा हुआ है, ये तो मैं मानता हूँ बेयर मिनिमम है, इतना तो होना ही चाहिए और हो ही जाएगा. अब आप मोरालिटी लिख कर आओगे तो कहाँ से मिलेगा, लेकिन इथिक्स लिख कर आओगे तो जरूर मिलेगा, राइट? So if you get 125 plus, then your chances of going into the Indian administrative services, police services, foreign services, revenue services, all the top services, the chances grow exorbitantly. There is an exceptional growth in that chance, right? But if you do not read the notes, you miss the classes, you misunderstand the concepts, or you do not revise, you do not come for the tests, then I cannot guarantee your success in this examination. After all, friends, I can only show you the way. The task has to be done by you. Do you understand that? Now, how we will proceed? See, first we'll start with the first unit because that makes sense. But we cannot understand the first unit without philosophy. So that's why from the first unit, we will jump to the 5th unit. We will complete the 5th unit. We will go back to the first unit. Then we will cover all the social psychology sections like attitude, aptitude, emotional intelligence, human values in one go. After that, we will do ethics in public administration. Got it? So that is the flow that we will adopt in the class. Got it? So your attention should be only in understanding. This is a very beautiful subject. और जिसे कहते हैं ना कि जो सबसे ज़्यादा वफादार है इन चारों GS पेपर, वो GS पेपर 4 है. GS paper 4 will give you what you are actually looking for. In fact, your marks in ethics, essay, and your optional paper will determine whether you will clear this examination with good marks and good ranks or not. अगर जिसका ethics, essay और optional खराब है, वो नहीं clear कर सकता इस एग्जाम को, और कर भी ले तो एकदम इतनी ऐसी. कोई पढ़ रहा है क्या 970 रैंक के लिए? कोई है जो पढ़ रहा है 670 रैंक आ जाए मेरी इस बार? कोई भी नहीं होगा. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल जब आप प्रिपरेशन शुरू करते हो क्या सोच के करते हो? कुछ लोग तो यही सोचते हैं कि अंडर 10 आ जाऊं मैं कैसे भी. कुछ तो ये भी मानते होंगे मैं ही फर्स्ट आने वाला हूं. The point is it cannot happen unless you prepare ethics, essay and optional papers very vividly, right? So have faith in me, and I am assuring this that this paper will be one of the easiest sections for you. But one promise that all of you have to make me is you are not going to miss the classes. Do I have that promise? Give me a resounding yes. Yes? Okay. So we will start with the very basic question, and that is how we will start our syllabus. So put your pen down, close your book, and look here very carefully. Right? The question is, what is the utility of ethics in the society? See, there are some books, and how to use these books I'll tell you at the end of the class, right? What is the utility of ethics in society? Utility means use. What is the use of ethics in society? In order to understand this, look here very carefully. All societies, they try to maintain something called social order. ध्यान से सुनना इसको. Now, what is social order? A social order refers to a stable state of society. Stable state of society. Stable state of society means a state of society where social structures are accepted, social institutions are respected, and social norms and customs are followed. Now look here. The question that we are asking ourselves is, what is the utility of ethics in society? To understand that question, we must first understand what societies seek. All societies, they try to establish and maintain something called social order. Social order refers to a stable state of society where social structures are accepted, social institutions are respected, and social norms and customs are followed. Now, what are social structures? Social structure is how society is classified, how society is arranged into different layers, which could be any kind of structure. Do you understand that? Based on economic criteria, social criteria, political criteria, any kind of criteria. So all the social structures should be accepted. If somebody does not accept the social structure, then that person will revolt against the society. Do you understand that? Social institutions like marriage, family, etc. So social institutions must be respected. If you do not respect the social institutions, will you be able to ensure that there is social order? Otherwise, there would be social disorder. Social disorder is the antithesis of social order. Social disorder is sometimes also known as social chaos. Do you get it? Social norms. Social norms are what? What is norm? Norm means a rule. Do you understand that? So society has made some rules. Like say for example, help the needy could be a rule made by the society. Second rule could be always speak the truth, which could be another rule. Customs. Customs means those kind of practices which the society has accepted for itself. Some of the customs are traditions. Traditions means these practices are not developed by this society, but their predecessors, and they have got it by way of inheritance. Like say for example, in Indian society, it is customary that when you greet someone, you greet with folded hands. Do you understand that? So that is a custom. Are you understanding this? So all societies, they try to do what? They try to maintain and establish social order. What is social order? A stable state of society where social structures are accepted, social institutions are respected, and social norms and customs are followed. Do you understand that? Now, if the social structures are not accepted, social institutions are not respected, social norms, customs are not followed, then will there be social order? No, there would be what? There would be social disorder or social chaos. Now, social chaos will also create lawlessness, or can I say it will also give birth to anarchy, right? Now, lawlessness or anarchy for some time can be good. Like suppose you are challenging the established practices of the society. For some time it could be good. Like say for example, when Gandhiji launched the civil disobedience movement, he already started questioning the social structures and the social institutions. Do you understand that? Because most of the laws, they are made by keeping social considerations in mind. Do you get it? So social chaos or anarchy can be good for some time, especially when the society is passing through a phase of revolution. But sustained social anarchy, is it profitable for anyone? It is not profitable for anyone. Like say for example, are you comfortable in living in a society where there is gross lawlessness? There is no police? There is no courts of justice? Are you comfortable there? No, you are not comfortable. So that's why all societies, they try to do what? They try to avoid social disorder or social chaos. Rather, they try to establish and promote social order. And social order is a stable state of society where social structures, social institutions, and social norms, they are accepted, respected, and followed respectively. Do you understand that? Is this thing clear to each and everyone? Clear? चलो कुछ लिख लेते हैं. So write a question. What is the utility of ethics in society? What is the utility of ethics in society? Put a question mark and now write under that. All societies seek to establish promote and maintain, seek to establish, promote and maintain social order. Social order. Put the word social order into single inverted commas. Social order. Put a full stop and continue. Social order refers to a stable state of society. Refers to a stable state of society where social structures are accepted, comma, social institutions like marriage, family, etc. are respected and social norms, customs and traditions, social norms, customs and traditions are followed. Customs and traditions are followed. Got it? Now make this as your first bullet. Write the second bullet point. When social order is threatened, when social orders is threatened, all societies respond. All societies respond and try to restore order. Try to restore order. Put a full stop. अच्छा एक चीज देखो. One of the prime responsibilities of administration, especially police administration, is what? Maintenance of law and order. वो order क्या है? Social. Do you understand that? Now, put a semicolon and continue that point. The opposite of social order, the opposite of social order is social disorder. Is social disorder or social chaos. Is social disorder or social chaos. Put a hyphen and write a state of society, a state of society where the structures break down, social structures, a state of society where the social structures break down, the social institutions are ridiculed, the social institutions are ridiculed and the social customs, norms, traditions are regularly violated. Customs, norms, traditions are regularly violated. Next bullet, third bullet. Social chaos can give birth to anarchy. Social chaos can give birth to anarchy or lawlessness. Anarchy or lawlessness. Put a comma, which is, ऐसे कर लो, which can be beneficial, in the short run, especially when the society is passing through a phase of revolution. Society is passing through a phase of revolution. Put a comma. But if anarchy prevails, for a longer period, it can be socially disastrous. Drop your pen. Now look here. Tell me, can we protect our fundamental rights if anarchy prevails in a sustained manner? Not be able to protect, right? So you write, for example, it would be difficult to protect our fundamental rights. For example, it would be difficult to protect our fundamental rights if we tolerate sustained anarchy. So now I'm making a final conclusive statement as far as what we have learned so far. Therefore, all societies, look here. Therefore, all societies, they are bothered with social order all the time. Does that make sense to you now? So you write a concluding line. Therefore, all the societies are always bothered. Therefore, all the societies are always bothered with the establishment and maintenance of social order. Clear? Now put your pen down and look here one more time. So we are trying to learn what? We are trying to learn what is the utility of ethics in the society. तो ये question तो अभी तक हमने address नहीं किया है, right? We have first tried to understand what societies seek. All societies try to establish and maintain what? Social order. Social order is a stable state of the society where social structures could be caste structures, they could be class structures, or they could be classless structures, any kind of structures. Do you understand that? So social structures are accepted. Social institutions like family, marriage, etc. are respected, and social norms, conventions, customs, they are all followed. Do you get that? And if there is any discrepancy in any of it or all of it, what happens? There is social disorder or social chaos. Social chaos promotes what? Anarchy. And it becomes very difficult to protect human rights, especially fundamental rights, in sustained anarchy situations. Do you get that? That's why all societies, they are bothered with social order. तो अब हम ये समझते हैं that what kind of tools society uses to maintain social order. Do you understand that? So put your pen down and look here very carefully. We are trying to go into the second concept. Now, all societies, we understand, they try to maintain and promote social order. Now, social order can be maintained through different tools, or we can call them as techniques. So there are different tools and techniques with the help of which social order can be maintained. These tools, if I classify them, could be put under these categories: sociological tools, then there could be legal tools, then you can think about cultural tools, and moral tools. So different kind of tools are made to use by the society to maintain social order. Sociological tools. Sociological tools can be divided into two types. One is socialization, and the second one is social sanction. Now, socialization and social sanction, what are they? We'll try to understand in a bit. Legal tools could be the ordinary laws, or it could be constitutional law, laws and constitution. If we are in England, then there is only ordinary law. Do you understand that? Cultural tools, like say for example, religion is part of culture. So often societies, they make an appeal to religion to ensure that, say for example, in many societies, one social institution called marriage is often seen from the religious lens. Do you understand that? And then there is ethics. Do you understand that? So अब देखो, question क्या था हमारा? What is the utility of ethics in society? Ethics is the moral tool that helps in establishment of social order in the society. Do you get that? Ethics is the moral tool that helps in establishment of social order in the society. Never try to by heart any definition. Always try to understand every definition, then you can create your definitions, which would be appropriate all the times. Do you get it? So what is the utility of ethics in society? Ethics is the moral tool to establish social order in the society. There could be other tools as well, right? Like say for example, cultural tools, legal tools, sociological tools. But ethics is the moral tool. Legal tools deal with legality, illegality. Moral tools deal with morality and immorality. And moral question means right and wrong, good and bad. All the ethics that we are going to learn will boil down to two important questions I told you. What is right and what is wrong? What is good and what is bad? Do you get it? So make a star. Change the ink if possible, if you have one, and then write the statement. Different societies adopt different tools or combination of tools, different tools or combination of tools to maintain social order. Tools to maintain social order. Then after that, you do this with dot. It means namely. namely sociological tools, comma, legal tools, cultural tools, and moral tools. Put a full stop and then write ethics is the moral tool. Ethics is the moral tool that helps in the preservation and maintenance of social order. Maintenance of social order in the society. Social order in the society. Got it? So if this is the question and you have to answer in one line, the question is, what is the utility of ethics in society? What should be the answer? It's the moral tool that helps in preservation of social order. And you know why social order is important for the societies. Otherwise, there would be anarchy. And anarchy will create very difficult situation for everyone if it is sustained. For sometimes anarchy is sometimes desirable, right? When you're launching a revolution or something like that. Now, let's talk about the sociological tools in detail. So drop your pen and look here again one more time. Socialization. Now see, whenever you get this term, TION, at the end of any word, like colonization, do you understand that? It means what? It means it is a process. Do you understand that? देखो, एक चीज ध्यान में रख लो, अगर TION है तो वो कोई प्रोसेस होगा, अगर ISM है तो कोई फिलॉसफी होगी, कम्युनिज्म, कैपिटलिज्म. Do you understand that? So if it is ISM, it is a philosophy. If it is TION, it is a process. You get that? So what is socialization? To understand socialization, we must understand few important words. Like say for example, you have heard these kind of words, right? Social, unsocial, antisocial. Have you heard these words? Now, what is the meaning of the word social? See, social means that the person concerned has an understanding about the society. It means he understands the social structures, he understands the social institutions, and he is aware about the social norms, customs, traditions, etc. So, a person is social when he understands or she understands the society and is socially convenient. Socially convenient means that if that person lives in the society, other members of the society feel good about it. Do you get it? So that person is called as social. Now, different person can be social at different degrees. Like say for example, a person in your group of friends also, there could be one or two who are the show stealers. Wherever they go, they make friends easily because of their good nature. Do you understand that? You could be that person in your group. Do you understand that? So it means that you are very social. अब कुछ लोग बहुत ज़्यादा भी social होते हैं, more than necessary. Like say for example, going in an auto rickshaw or a cab or somewhere, ऐसे जा रहे हैं और रास्ते से बारात जा रही है, तो उतर के वो भी नाचने लग गए. Social है वो बहुत ज़्यादा. You understand that? The point is that who is social? A person who has knowledge about the society, who is aware about the social structure, institution, customs, norms, etc., and is socially convenient. It means if he remains in the society, others have no problem. In fact, others feel happy. जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना, ये आ गया अब माहौल बनेगा, वो social आदमी है. Do you understand that? Now, who is unsocial? Unsocial is that person who has knowledge about the society, like a social person, but he is socially inconvenient. It means that he does not mixes with the society so easily. Do you get that? Let's say for example, जैसे आपके घर में भी हुआ होगा या आप किसी को जानने वाले होंगे तो उनके यहाँ हुआ होगा, जैसे समझ लो मोहल्लों में शादियां होती हैं, राइट, और कोई फंक्शन होता है, तो एक होता है घर में जो बोलता है मम्मी मैं नहीं जा रहा, मेरे लिए अलग से खाना बना देना, होता है ना कोई कोई. And there are some people, some friends you will see who will not mix very easily with anyone. So they are unsocial. You say he is very unsocial, she is very unsocial. It means they feel it very uncomfortable to mix with other people in the society. It doesn't mean that they are not having any understanding of the society or they do not respect the society. They do. But they find it difficult to mingle with other members of the society. So they are unsocial. Do you understand that? So do you understand the difference between social and unsocial? Social is a person who has understanding about the society, true, and is socially convenient. Unsocial is a person who is having knowledge about the society but is socially inconvenient, does not mixes with the other members of the society very frequently or easily, finds it difficult to mingle with other members of the society. But then comes the third category, antisocial. Antisocial people are those who do not respect the society, and through their behavior they cause annoyance and disapproval in others. Like say for example, जैसे समझ लो ट्रेन में जा रहे हैं, बैठे हुए हैं, सब कुछ अच्छा है, एसी की टिकट भी ले ली है, सब कुछ सही चल रहा है, लेकिन अचानक से ऐसे एक ब्लेड निकालो और सीट पे ऐसे चला दी. समझ रहे? दिस इज एंटी सोशल इन द मेकिंग. या जैसे समझ लो प्रोटेस्ट हो गया तो प्रोटेस्ट के नाम पे गाड़ियां जला दी, बसेस जला दी, पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी का नुकसान कर. These are antisocial people. Or suppose in a crowded place they misbehave with someone. Do you get that? So जिसे कहते हैं ना असामाजिक तत्व, they are the antisocial elements in the society. So antisocial is someone who is against the society. कि क्यों हो रहा है, शादियां वादियां क्यों हो रही है, आग लगा दो, इस तरीके का आदमी है. समझ में आ रहा है? ये क्या हो जाता है जब देखो ये पार्टी वार्टी करते हैं, क्यों होटल वोटल बनाया हुआ है लोगों के खाने के लिए, घर पे खाओ. तो ये एंटी सोशल आदमी है. समझ में आया? सो यू टेल मी, लाइक से फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अ चाइल्ड and the child is only say 3 months old. So baby, see, you tell me, the baby is social, unsocial or antisocial? Is the baby social? The baby has all the knowledge about everything, customs, traditions, etc. Definitely the baby is not social. Is the baby unsocial? अरे जो ले गोद में उसके साथ खेलने लग जाता है. Definitely not unsocial. Antisocial है क्या? हो सकता है, देखना पड़ेगा ध्यान. But the child is definitely not antisocial, right? Neither social, nor unsocial, nor antisocial. What is the child then? The child is asocial. Asocial means the child is ignorant about the society, isolated from the society, neither approves nor disapproves of the customs, traditions, etc. Like somebody could be apolitical, right? So the child is asocial. The child is neither social nor unsocial nor antisocial. The child is asocial. ये समझ में आ गई बात? अब देखो सोशलाइजेशन क्या है. Socialization is the process of taking a person from asocial state to social state. That is socialization. Do you understand that? So suppose somebody is asocial, and if you have to take that person to the social state, you have to take that person through a journey. that journey is socialization. Different players play their part in this socialization. The first role is played by the mother. She is the first teacher. Then father, then other members of the family, then maybe neighbors. The child goes to educational institutions, the teachers. Have you seen? They all play their part in making the child social. So many customs, traditions you were made aware of when you attended educational institutions. Do you get that? So what is socialization? Socialization is to take a person from the state of asocial to social, because everybody wants social people, because social people are socially convenient and therefore they will help in the preservation of what? Social order. Do you get it? So what is socialization? Socialization is the process. Is the process of taking a person from asocial to social state. And different people play different roles. अब ये बात सोच के देखो, ये तो एक आइडियल सिनेरियो है. जैसे माँ बच्चे को कुछ सिखा रही है घर पे, अच्छी अच्छी बातें सिखा रहे हैं उसको, दादा दादी भी अच्छी बातें सिखा रहे हैं, स्कूल जा रहा है तो टीचर्स भी अच्छी बातें सिखा रहे हैं, लेकिन एक दिन गुस्से में बच्चा कुछ ऐसा बोल गया घर पे कि जो उसे नहीं बोलना चाहिए, क्योंकि पड़ोस वाले भैया ने कुछ और सिखा दिया था. तो वो भैया क्या है? एंटी सोशल. समझ में? So what is socialization? It's a process. Got it? So through socialization, social people are created and social people help in the preservation of social order. Got it? The second one is social sanction. What do you understand by the term sanction? Is it positive or negative? Like say for example, USA has imposed sanctions over Iran and Russia through CAATSA. Are you aware about CAATSA? Countering America's adversaries through Sanctions Act. So this is negative or positive? Negative for Iran and Russia, right? So sanction is negative in this sense. But if you say that my application for leave has been sanctioned, this is positive or negative? Or the funds that I was seeking were sanctioned, it means positive. So sanction is positive or negative? It is both. Both, right? So sanction is a reward which could be positive or negative. देखा है कोर्ट में भी जब जजमेंट देते तो बोलते हैं you are awarded the sanction. ऐसा थोड़ा ना कोई अवार्ड दिया जा रहा है उनको. Award means a sanction. Award could be positive or negative. A positive award is sometimes referred to as reward. Do you get it? So social sanctions can also help in preservation of social order. If you follow the norms, if you accept the structure, if you respect the institutions, the society celebrates you. And suppose you challenge the norms, you challenge the customs, traditions, etc. If you can convince the society, then there will be a revolution. But if you suppose happen to fail to convince the society member, then there would be negative sanction. And one negative sanction which society often indulges into is social boycott, right? Like say for example, during the Indian national movement, so many people were working for national independence, but there were some people who were not so much helping in the cause, or suppose they were loyalists of the British. And when that happened, you see other members of the society, they adopted a social boycott for them. Do you understand that? Like anti-chowkidari tax and all those kind of tax, I hope you have learned in your history classes. So social sanction is another type of device which could be considered as a sociological tool which helps the society in preservation of social order. Do you get it? चलो थोड़ा इसके बारे में लिख लेते हैं. Make another bullet and write. Socialization and social sanctions. Socialization and social sanctions are two important kind of sociological tools, that helps in the preservation of social order. Helps in the preservation of social order. Now what you do is, the bullet that you are writing, उस bullet के अंदर कुछ sub bullets बनाओ, right? Where we will define these terms, social and social. So first you write social. Social. Put a hyphen and write against it. A person who has knowledge about the society. A person who has knowledge about the society and is considered socially convenient. A person who has knowledge about the society and is considered socially convenient. Next sub-bullet, unsocial. Unsocial. Put a hyphen and write. A person who has knowledge about the society. A person who has knowledge about the society, but is socially inconvenient. But is socially inconvenient. Third sub-bullet, antisocial. Antisocial. Put a hyphen and write. A person who is against the society. A person who is against the society. And causes annoyance or disapproval. And causes annoyance. Annoyance or disapproval in others. Annoyance or disapproval in others through his behavior, actions, and decisions. Through his behavior, actions, and decisions. Such a person is not desirable in a society. Such a person is not desirable in a society. Then you write the fourth sub-bullet, asocial. 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 Put a hyphen and write. A person who is ignorant, neutral, or isolated from the society. Ignorant, neutral, or isolated from the society. Such a person neither approves, nor disapproves. Neither approves nor disapproves. The social structures, institutions, customs, structures, institutions, customs, traditions, etc. Now make a star and write. Socialization is the process. Socialization is the process of taking a person, from the asocial state to the social state. From the asocial state to the social state. In other words, it is the journey. In other words, it is the journey that an individual undertakes. It is the journey that an individual undertakes when he/she travels from, undertakes when he/she she travels from the asocial state to the social state. From asocial state to the social state. Put a full stop. Parents, family members, neighbors, teachers. Now look here. Does the leaders also play a role in this socialization? What about media? Internet? So you write leaders, media, including social media, etc., play a pivotal role in the process of socialization. So are you clear with the concept of socialization? Next bullet here. Yes. Unsocial to? That would not be socialization, rather social rectification. वो तो गॉन केस है. एंटी सोशल तो फिर लॉ आ जाता है पिक्चर में. ठीक है, तो सोसाइटी कुछ नहीं कर सकती वहां पे. किसी ने कुछ जला दिया, बस जला दिया, तो फिर लॉ आएगा ना. Yes, it can be. Like, see, we are considering ideal scenarios that leaders are very good, media is giving you the right news, all those kind of things. That barely happens, right? In any society or at any time. Okay, next bullet, you write. A sanction is a positive or a negative award. A sanction is a positive or a negative award. Positive social sanctions, put a full stop and write, positive social sanctions are imposed when an individual behaves in a socially convenient manner. Individual behaves in a socially convenient manner. Put a semicolon. A negative social sanction or social boycott. A negative social sanction or social boycott is extended towards an individual, when he or she behaves in a manner, which is considered as socially inconvenient. Behaves in a manner which is considered as socially inconvenient. Got it? Put a semicolon and write, all societies adopt social sanctions to encourage or discourage. All societies adopt social sanctions to encourage or discourage particular social behaviors. Got it? So sociological tools include socialization and social sanction. What is the aim? The aim is to preserve social order. Now let's come to these legal tools. It's very easy to understand. Legal tools means the law prescribes few things and the law prescribes few other things. So what the law prescribes, the society encourages you to do that, and what the laws prescribe or they prohibit, the society discourages you to do that, right? Now when I use the term laws, I'm also including within that terminology terms like rules, regulations, etc. Do you understand that? Now law could be ordinary law or law could be constitutional law. Laws always function on this principle, the incentive punishment model or principle. Like, say, for example, somebody who is a regular taxpayer sometimes gets incentives from the government, the state, or from the society at large. Like, say, for example, if you file your ITR returns all the time, then you can get access in the form of credit from banks. Banks give you home loan, car loan based on your ITR, right? So this is a reward which the state is giving you or the society is giving you. Now suppose somebody kills some other person, that is murder, and laws prescribe murder. They do not prescribe murder. Do they prescribe murder? No, they prescribe murder. So that's why if somebody indulges into murder, we say that person has taken the law into his or her own hands, and then the heavy hand of justice falls over that person. And that is what? In the form of punishment, which could be life imprisonment or capital punishment in the gravest of situations, like rarest of rare crime. Are you aware about this concept? So all legal tools, they function on the incentive punishment model. When you behave in a socially convenient manner, you get what? Incentive. Inconvenient manner, then there are punishments. The degree of incentive and punishment may vary depending upon the action. Is that thing clear to everyone? So write down next point. The legal tools adopted by the society, the legal tools adopted by the society find expression in the form of rules, regulations, guidelines, ordinary laws, constitutional laws, etc. Put a full stop. They mostly function on the incentive punishment principle. They mostly function on the incentive punishment principle. Put the words incentive punishment principle in single inverted commas. Put a full stop and continue. Good actions are rewarded. While bad actions are punished. Can I say all civilized societies have established courts of justice to implement this model? Like punishment is often given through courts, right? So put a bracket and write within that. All civilized societies have created courts of justice. And tribunals to implement the incentive punishment model. Do the courts also pay rewards in the form of say, money to anyone? They take fines, definitely. Do they pay reward also in the form of money? They do not do it directly, but they make somebody else to pay. Like say, for example, in defamation cases. Do you get it? Close the bracket. Put a full stop. Now look here. See, the society has developed social tools. The society has also developed legal tools. But there are situations where you can evade the social eye as well as the legal eye. There can be possibilities. So in that situations, or in those situations, the society finds itself helpless. Like say, for example, you find a person in a very remote village, and in that remote village, there is no access to roads or railways or any form of communication. In fact, people are also not so much aware about their rights. They have no idea about constitution. In fact, they do not know even the name of the country in which they are living. Suppose a person goes into that region and suddenly starts exploiting the resources of those areas. Then obviously, because the law and the society or the customs, the traditions, the norms of mainstream society has not reached up to that point or that place, that person will evade both law as well as the social sanctions. How to control those kind of people? So societies, what they did was, they often take the help of the religious discourse in those times. Like, when nobody is watching, God is watching. Do you understand that? So there is a constant account keeping by God of your good deeds and bad deeds. Now, it could be, depending upon your belief system, a supreme God or karma, anything. Do you understand that? So, religion, is it a part of culture? Yes. So, in religious texts also, you will find certain do's and don'ts. Isn't it? In all the religions you go, suppose in Buddhism or Christianity or Hinduism, Islam, you'll always find some do's and don'ts. So these do's and don'ts help you to understand what the society desires and what the society does not desire, and thereby help you in helping to promote social order. Got it? So next bullet, you write. Cultural tools. Cultural tools like religion, also help in the promotion of social order. All the established religions of the world, prescribe a list of do's and don'ts. Prescribe a list of do's and don'ts that help in the regulation of human behavior. That helps in the regulation of human behavior. Can I say that different societies have also established religious institutions which become enforcer of these do's and don'ts? So put a semicolon, right? Societies often develop religious institutions. Societies often develop religious institutions that enforce these do's and don'ts. Enforce these do's and don'ts. Got it? Got it? So do you understand the sociological tools like socialization, social sanction? Do you understand the incentive punishment model? And do you understand religion? Now, the point is, what is ethics? Ethics is the moral tool. Because some people could be atheists. They do not care about religion. So how to keep those people also into the socially convenient behavioral fold? By enforcing on them something called ethics. Do you understand that? So make a star and write ethics is a moral tool. Ethics is a moral tool that helps in the establishment, promotion and maintenance, establishment, promotion and maintenance of social order. Social order. Now put your pen down and look here very carefully. So far so good? Everything clear to everyone? Good. Now look here. Let's try to understand this word, ethics. What is this word, ethics? To understand any word, we can either look at its function or functionality or its origin. Do you understand that? So let's look at it from the point of view of origin of the word. So word ethics is actually derived from an ancient Greek word. And the word is ethikos. Now, what does ethikos mean? Look here. Ethikos means relating to one's character or arising from habit. Relating to one's character or arising from habit. These are the two meanings of the word ethikos. In fact, the word ethikos itself is derived from the root word ethos. Now, ethos means character or moral nature. Like a person who has good moral nature, we say has a good character. Bad moral nature has bad character. So, I have just broken down the word. Look here very carefully. Ethics is derived from the ancient Greek word, and what is that word? Ethikos, which means relating to one's character or arising from habit. The word ethikos is derived from the root word ethos, which means character or moral nature. So literally put or verbatim, you can say that we can define ethics in this way. Ethics refers to, listen to this very carefully. Ethics refers to the good traits. Traits means aspects. The good traits of our character, which are developed over a period of time when we regularly perform the right actions as a part of our habit. Do you understand that? I'm repeating it one more time. Look here very carefully. I'm saying ethics literally put, ये एक definition है ethics का, एक ही नहीं है, बहुत सारे हैं. तो एक जो इस word को तोड़ के ही बनाया जा सकता है वो ये है. Ethics refers to the good traits or the good aspects of our character which are developed. Good traits or good aspects, they are developed in a day or over a period of time? Over a period of time. So good traits of your character that are developed over a period of time when you do the right thing recursively, regularly as a part of your habit. Remember, I told you many people behave unethically because they are habitually inclined to do so. Remember? So when you develop good habits, suppose you develop a habit of kindness in you, then naturally you will be ethical in the long run. Do you get it? Like suppose you develop a habit that you are not going to hurt anyone physically, emotionally, or in any other way, financially or any other way. So in that way also you develop this good habit in you. Do you get it? So I'm repeating one more time. Look here. Ethics refers to the good traits of our character which are developed over a period of time when we regularly perform the right actions over and over as part of our habit. And this takes me to the first scholar, and that is Aristotle. Have you heard about him? The famous Greek philosopher. Aristotle said this. Listen to this very carefully. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. Do you understand that? आप वही हो जाओगे जो आप बार बार करते रहोगे. Like say for example, if you start lying on even trivial issues, small issues, like जैसे कि आप 10 बजे क्लास पे आए थे लेकिन आपके पड़ोसी ने पूछा आपसे कितने बजे आए हो, 10:15, तो आपने बोला हाँ. So it becomes a part of your character to lie. You understand that? और जैसे कुछ लोग होते हैं देखना, वो आपने ये ऐसे वीडियोस देखे जो दे कम फ्रॉम फाइनेंशियली साउंड बैकग्राउंड्स yet they indulge in act of stealing things from supermarkets or jewelry shops or something like that, because they're habitually inclined to do the bad thing or the wrong thing. Do you get it? So Aristotle says we are, हम वही हैं जो हम बार बार करते हैं. Then excellence is not an act but a habit. क्योंकि तब आप naturally ना चाह के भी सही चीज भी करो. Like so for example Socrates, even if because he has done so many good actions, naturally the good will come out of him. One who has done the bad actions, naturally the bad will come out of that person. Like you all are aware about that gruesome rape and murder case of Nirbhaya, right? So the culprits, you see that if they would not have been caught in that case, what do you think? After 1 week, they all will turn into saints? No, because they have developed that as a part of their character, habit. Do you understand that? So they generally disrespect women. That's a very simple fact which is ingrained in their head. So in that way, you can understand that Aristotle says we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. आप रोज आंसर लिखते रहो तो अच्छा आंसर फिर आपको हैबिट में आ जाएगा, वो होने लगेगा, आप उसे कुछ एफर्ट नहीं करना पड़ेगा उसके लिए. यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस? इन फैक्ट, टू बी मोर प्रिसाइज, Aristotle's work, philosophical works, they are combinedly referred to as Nicomachean ethics. You understand that? And while explaining Nicomachean ethics, Aristotle would be writing in English. Did he write in English? ये कोड तो इंग्लिश में था, इसका मतलब किसी ने ट्रांसलेशन किया है. You understand that? So the person who has translated this is, I hope you have heard about him, Will Durant. नाम सुना है? William James Durant or Will Durant. He is a writer, historian and a philosopher, one of the tallest philosophers of modern times, Will Durant. तो अगर ये कोट लिखते हो आप, we are what we repeatedly do, excellence then is not an act but a habit, then draw a hyphen and write Aristotle / Will Durant. बस जो इवैल्यूएटर वो इमोशनल हो जाएगा किसको तो आना ही चाहिए सिस्टम में, बहुत पढ़ के आया है. डू यू गेट इट? So write down. Give a small subheading. Meaning of the term ethics. Meaning of the term ethics. Now under this you write, the word ethics is derived. The word ethics is derived from the ancient Greek word, ethikos. Ethikos. Meaning relating to one's character. Meaning relating to one's character. Or arising from habit. Or arising from habit. Put a semicolon and write The word ethikos itself comes from the root word. The word ethikos itself comes from the root word ethos, meaning character or moral nature. Meaning character or moral nature. Next bullet, you write, make that as your first bullet. Next bullet. Hence, literally put. Hence, literally put. Put. Ethics refers to the good traits. Literally put, ethics referred to the good traits of our character. Good traits of our character, which are developed over a period of time. Which are developed over a period of time. When, put a comma and write, when we regularly perform the right actions, when we regularly perform the right actions over and again, as a part of our habit, right actions over and again as a part of our habit. Right? Now, write a quote. Change the ink if you want. We are what we regularly do. We are what we regularly do. Put a comma. Excellence. Excellence. Put a comma again. Then. Put a comma again. Is not an act. Then is not an act, but a habit. But a habit. Unquote. Put a hyphen and write Aristotle. Aristotle. Put a slash and write Will Durant. Will Durant. Now, under that, you write a note. William James Durant, comma, writer, historian, and philosopher. Writer, historian, and philosopher. While reflecting on Nicomachean ethics, Nicomachean, Nicomachean ethics. Put a bracket and write within that. That is philosophical collection of Aristotle's work. ऐसा करो, collection of Aristotle's philosophical works. That is collection of Aristotle's philosophical works. Collection of Aristotle's philosophical works. Close the bracket. Translated Aristotle's quote to English. Translated Aristotle's quote to English. Got it? So this is the literal meaning of the word ethics. But what are the other meanings of word ethics? Well, ethics is very vast and we need to understand ethics in more detail. So we will carry forward that understanding in the next class. But before I leave you people, let me talk something about how to use these books. that you people have got. So देखो, first book is the theoretical perspective. It has all the units except the fifth unit. And what is fifth unit? Moral thinkers, philosophers from world and India. I would not suggest you to start reading this book immediately. I would say for the first 5-6 classes, you only focus on your notes. Got it? After that, what you do is that you try to read this book. Now you see that I am following the principle of exhaustiveness in the class. But this is after all a class. Do you understand that? A 3-hour lecture. So despite my best intentions, I cannot speak everything that is contained in the book. Do you get that? So I can only talk about the substance in the class. And these notes that you will be creating, there are so many people who have qualified the examination just on the basis of these notes alone, और कुछ नहीं पढ़ा उन्होंने. But I'm saying कि अब क्या हो गया है कि बहुतों के पास यही notes हैं. So more or less they are writing the same answers. So in order to get that 1-2 extra mark in every question, you have to do some extra labor. And for that, you try to use this book. And remember, I told you to have a margin on your notebook. So what you do is, what new information that you collect from this book, you try to write there in pencil, and not with pen. Why? Because हो सकता है जो आपने लिखा वो गलत understanding हो, आगे की classes में वो clear हो जाए. So you always have the option of erasing it and rewriting it. So write it with pencil. So this is the first book that you should read. Now, is there any book in the market which can help you in understanding ethics? The answer is no. There are no books in the market which are complete. देखो, these books are either written by philosophers. अब अगर आपको निकोमेकियन एथिक्स समझना है या समझ लो आपको प्लेटोनियन वर्क समझना है तो क्या रिपब्लिक पढ़ोगे अभी? प्लेटो का लिखा हुआ सोक्रेटिस को समझना है तो नहीं पढ़ सकते ना. अभी अगर इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस समझना है तो डैनियल गोलमैन की लिखी हुई 6 किताबें पढ़ोगे? नहीं पढ़ सकते. सो द पॉइंट इज that those books, I don't want to name any book that are there in the market, but it is my moral duty to tell you that these books are incomplete. They will not help you in understanding the subject, rather they will confuse you. Because ethics पे ही आप देखोगे 15-16 definition दिए हुए हैं और इतने definition आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कौन सा definition मैं use करूं. One thing that I would suggest you people to get from the market is the lexicon, right? That you should get, because lexicon is nothing but dictionary in which the meaning of ethical terms is given. So try to go through that. Then this is the second book, which is 70 Thinkers, 70 Thoughts. Here I have summarized 70 important philosophers, their thinking and their thoughts. So you try to incorporate in your answer writing, and we will learn that in the class. Don't worry, we will cover most of the philosophers in the class. The point is that extra thing that you need, for that you have to read these books, right? These two books, the theoretical framework and 70 Thinkers, 70 Thoughts, plus your class notes would be sufficient, along with lexicon if you want. That would be sufficient for GS paper 4. After all, you are trying for 250 marks, right? So you cannot take it very loosely. कि हाँ हो जाएगा. For other subjects, you see, you read so many books. But I am saying only read these materials and that would be enough. Then the third book is actually a workbook, which is the case study workbook, right? Here we have those 100 case studies which we are going to solve in the class. तो आज कुछ मत करो, इस बुक को ले जाके सीधा सजा कर रख दो. जब केस स्टडी आएगा तो इससे लेकर आना, ठीक है? So from 41st lecture onwards, you have to get this book at your disposal in the class. Got it? How to use this book, I'll tell when the time will come. Then there is this one, which is Ethics Snippets. Now what is this book? ये जो आपने देखा था theoretical framework, कुछ लोगों से ये नहीं पढ़ा जाता, ठीक है? तो उनके लिए इसका समरी है ये एक तरीके से. अगर आप ये नहीं पढ़ पा रहे हो तो कम से कम ये पढ़ लो. देखो दोनों का साइज देखो, ठीक है? कम से कम ये पढ़ लो. इसमें क्या है, वो सारी चीजें हैं जो हम करना चाह रहे हैं क्लास में, जो थियोरेटिकल फ्रेमवर्क में दिया हुआ है. इट्स अ क्विक रिवीजन बिफोर द एग्जाम डे और समथिंग लाइक दैट, और एग्जाम वीक और समथिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? देन you have this compendium of थॉट्स, मतलब ये 70 थिंकर 70 थॉट्स का समरी है, ठीक है। तो जिनसे वो भी नहीं हो रहा, मतलब देखो ऑप्शन क्या है आपके पास, ये है आपके पास ऑप्शन, कोई भी ले लो, ठीक है। आइडियली ये, बट अगर नहीं हो पा रहा है तो ये, और ये भी नहीं हो पा रहा है तो वो नोट्स भी पढ़ोगे तब भी उतना ही समझ में आएगा। दिस फॉर एक्स्ट्रा, राइट। नाउ अब जिनसे लेक्सिकन भी नहीं हो पाता, और लेक्सिकन वैसे थोड़ा लिमिटेड है, देयर इज A to Z glossary of ethics. So you must know the meaning of words like what is cognitive dissonance, what is, say, altruism, what is egoism. Do you understand that? Different kind of ethical vocabulary. If in your answer writing there is no ethical vocabulary and no philosophers, you're not going to get marks. Otherwise it will look very layman kindish, right? Not be appearing as if a prospective officer is writing something. लगना चाहिए ना? तो ये आप कर लेना. So in total you have 5 books and 1 workbook, right? The workbook is for case study, and then you have theoretical framework, the 70 thinkers 70 thoughts, the compendium, the snippets. ये ठीक है, इससे हो जाएगा आपका प्रिपरेशन. यू डू नॉट हैव टू डू एनीथिंग अबाउट इट. अब देखो, जिनसे 70 थिंकर 70 थॉट्स नहीं हो पा रहा, जिनसे कंपेंडियम भी नहीं हो पा रहा है, मतलब ये जो पतला वाला है ये भी नहीं हो पा रहा है, समझ लीजिए, तो उनके लिए न्यूज़पेपर है, ठीक है. Just go through this newspaper. This is also having different thinkers and thoughts, right? तो आज से ऐसा करो, मतलब आज से मतलब अभी से मत करना, जब ये क्लास में होने लगेगा, what you do is when you will go back, and most of the people I think have already inculcated that habit of reading the newspaper when eating. So try to do that. By the way, that's a very bad habit to have. And remember, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. So try to take 10 minutes of your busy schedule and just dedicate to this paper during the course जो भी हम करेंगे इसमें, ठीक है, क्लास में. उससे ये काफ़ी हो जाएगा आपके लिए. After that you will not face much of problem. But I would suggest not to start anything at least for 1 week. For 1 week only focus on the notes that we are doing in the class and keep yourself updated with respect to the notes. And before I conclude for the day, one thing that I want to tell you is there is a risk in reading ethics. और ये अच्छे से समझना तो आगे चीजें आसान हो जाएंगी. What is that risk? Actually there are risks. There are 2 kinds of risks. One is personal risk. The second one is social political risk. What is the personal risk? What was obvious to you that will no longer remain so obvious to you after reading ethics? मतलब आपको लगता था ना कि हाँ ये सही है और ये गलत है. हो सकता है उसके बाद थोड़े दिनों बाद आपको लगे कि जो मैं सही समझता था वो गलत था और जो गलत लगता था वो सही है. It means it will create some kind of moral discomfort in you. And do not get bogged down by that, my friends, because everybody has suffered that. Do you understand that? There is nobody who has not suffered this kind of ethical discomfort or moral discomfort, because suddenly all the notions of right and wrong, good and bad that you're carrying for this 20, 22, whatever is your age, you're carrying for these many years, suddenly there is the strong wave that hits all those things. Your notions of right and wrong are shattered in a moment. So it creates ethical discomfort. I told you, you have to be having the continuum approach and situational approach. You must understand this is one way of looking at things, but not the only way of looking at things. There could be other ways as well. So what we will study in a class with respect to one philosopher, next day maybe we'll talk about altogether different. Like so for example, Jeremy Bentham and Immanuel Kant, diametrically opposite to each other, deontological thought and consequentialism, utilitarianism, have you heard about it? Diametrically opposite to each other. तो ये पहला रिस्क है, इसके लिए आप ध्यान में रखो. ये होगा आपके साथ कि 5-6 क्लास के बाद लगेगा कि यार क्या हो गया, पूरा सर घूम गया मेरा, समझ नहीं आ रहा क्या सही है क्या गलत है. ये अच्छा है, ये अच्छा साइन है. इसका मतलब you are trying to understand ethics. In fact, in olden times, you know that ethical lessons were mostly given in the form of dialogue. Dialogue means there would be 2 entities and they would be talking to each other, and through that talk, some moral lessons will be drawn. In fact, Plato has written many dialogues, Republic being the most famous one. So in India also there was this tradition of writing through, teaching lessons through dialogue. Are you aware about Milind Panho? Right? King Maninder and Nagasena? It is through dialogues, right? So similarly, you see that there is a dialogue written by Plato. It is called Gorgias or Gorgias. In Gorgias, Socrates is talking to one of his friends, Callicles. Now, Callicles says this thing to Socrates. He says, Socrates, if you get philosophy at the right time in your life, it's a very good tool, a toy for you. But if you philosophize more than necessary, you will be a person in deep trouble. Do you understand that? इसका मतलब क्या है? He is saying, Callicles is saying to Socrates, stop philosophizing, get real. That's what he is saying, right? So there is an end to philosophy. ये समझ कर रखो, यहाँ पे फिलोसोफर बनने कोई नहीं आया है, कोई नहीं, फिलोसोफर बनने नहीं आया, आपको ब्यूरोक्रेट बनना है और ये पेपर क्लियर करना है. तो आपको समझना है कि हम बहुत ज्यादा डीप में नहीं जा सकते, बिकॉज इफ यू ओवर थिंक then there would be disaster that will come your way. Whatever you write in this paper, you have to only back it appropriately through moral arguments. That's the first risk. Second is socio-political risk. Maybe by learning ethics, you suddenly start looking at a particular law as unethical. And when you lose the respect for that law, you may start criticizing the law. You may also start breaking the law, consciously or subconsciously. So instead of making you a better citizen, ethics can make you a worse citizen, or at least worse before it makes you a better citizen. Only when you will overcome the moral turpitude, then you will go and you will understand what is the meaning of ethics. Do you understand that? So that's why keep this thing in mind, that keep yourselves grounded and always have a liberal mind. Always have a curious mind, a rational mind, a situational mind, a neutral mind. Remember? This mindset is required to qualify with good marks in this paper. और एक चीज मैं आपको आखिरी बात जो बोलूंगा वो ये है कि ethics is like grammar. जिसने पढ़ लिया उसने ज्यादा गड़बड़ कर लिया. जिसको आ गई ग्रामर अब वो परेशान रहता है. Has been, had been, have been क्या होगा? I had been, I have been, I has been क्या है? वैसी ethics भी है. जब आप पढ़ लोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि ये भी है, ये भी है, ये भी है. See, sometimes have you heard about this? Ignorance is bliss. But I tell you something else. Education is bliss. And if you feel education is costly, try ignorance. It is costly. Got it? So that is everything from my side for today, friends.